Good afternoon. Welcome back. It's Lunch with Lisa. And today we are super excited. We have Marla Schultz. Marla, you have been, and I'm going to let you talk more about this than even I am, but you've been headlining. You are a stand-up comedian. You're also a speaker. You're an actress. You're a media personality. You started your career in news, actually, and news production. I think it's pretty cool. You toured for 2 years nationally with fellow comedian Chelsea Handler, and you co-starred with her on Girls Behaving Badly, which I can't wait to hear more about that. And also you were entertaining troops in the U.S. military. And the reason I'm really excited that you're on today is because I think, and I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel like people are getting to a point where they're starting to hit a wall, and they're starting to really get their anxieties up and stresses up, and sleep has been down, and we've all been looking at Zooms an awful lot. And I think it's time for a laugh and to lighten things up and to just be that person that when people talk to them they're fun to talk to, because we don't need any more doom and gloom. And so I'm really thrilled that you're here today, and hoping that you can share with us some of your star power and how to win anybody over by making them laugh. So thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. And those are a lot of questions to get through. But I'm happy to start. I've always been funny. So I'm told my junior high school prediction was to be a comedian. And I've always found that laughter is one of the best ways to connect us with everybody in our lives. And it also is a way to get over any kind of personal hurdles that you might be having, because what laughter diffuses any kind of situations. Laughter connects us. Just being a stand-up and having one line that can work down south, because I've been working down south a lot in North Carolina, to the top 1% in Nantucket. Mm-hmm. So, and also, what's so amazing about laughter, it's one of the first basic emotions. I mean, think about it. You have a baby and an infant, and the minute you can make the infant laugh, it's not also a sign of, it's a sign of connection, but the endorphins. I mean, people love babies, people love puppies, but when you make a baby laugh and you hear that giggle, it's a drug. And every time you see that baby, you want to go back and make the baby laugh.
That's right. That's right. I actually was making my 21-year-old laugh the other day, and I was getting such a thrill out of making him laugh. And so I was just thinking back to when he was a baby. Wow, that's really good. And one of the things that you were telling me about is when you're helping train people, whether it's presentations or keynotes or whatever it is. And I think we've all watched it. You've watched that person that got up there and just droned on the whole time. Or there was the person that dropped those one-liners or that something with that perfect timing, stopped, everyone laughed, and they just went on as if they just threw it out there. And the difference in being able to entice your audience and win them over it's night and day. And you work with people on that all the time.
Sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. This is the thing with 25 minutes. I feel like we're all going back and forth a little bit. And I know I threw a lot of questions at you, but when you were on TV and you're working with other comedians, even what's that like? I mean, are you all like out joking each other, or you working on timing? What is that like?
There's several prototypes of the comedians, and specifically when you're working on a show, you have to be gracious. That might not be the correct word, but you got to give the person the opportunity to land a punchline, because regardless if you're on TV and you're in an improv situation or you're in life, there's nothing worse than having somebody step on your punchline. I mean, being a comic, when you tell a story, you want that punchline to laugh. And my husband would do it all the time. I'd start telling a story. He would hijack it. He then would stumble and fumble on the punchline. And then he would toss it back and say, you know what? You should tell the story. You tell it better than I do. And then you then have to go to therapy because you're so mad that he stepped on your punchline. You're like, why did I sign up for this guy? Why he's stepping on my punchline?
Right.
So as a comic, you want to be, respectful. You want to allow that person to tell their story. Oh, yeah, I heard that. It is it's almost like telling somebody to go, F off, in my humble opinion.
Right.
Have you ever had that experience?
Well, and speaking of experiences, I'm going to close out the how are you managing from home poll fairly early because I want to get to some of these other ones that we talk about, that people experiencing jumping on your punchline. So right now, we don't have that many responses as of right now, but so if people want to do it real quick. But right now, people are saying they're loving working from home. We're at 56%. That's the highest I've ever seen. 33% it's working well for now, and 1% are saying they can't. 10% are saying they can't wait to get back to the office. So, no, those just changed. Look at how people jump in there like, no, I don't like working from home.
Why? You don't have to wear pants. You should see me.
Look at those numbers change. Wow. Now it's 40, 40, 20. All right. Thank you, everybody, for just jumping into that. I'm going to close that out. So one of the other polls that we have here is, do you think you're funny? Right? And it's a yes or no, or I think I'm funny. And often people think I'm not. Like, I'll make a joke to my kids and and I'm like, well, I thought it was funny. Right. But I think sometimes, and especially now, people are worried about being funny. They're worried about it's not the right time. We should be serious. You're a speaker for the National Alliance of Mental Illness, which, again, nothing funny about that.
No.
And yet, talk to us about how you do incorporate humor into just leveling out a situation and helping people feel comfortable as well as winning them over.
Well, that's let me start with the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I suffered from depression and anxiety, and if it wasn't for my stand-up career, meaning it taught me how to compartmentalize. No matter how bad I was or how low and down I was, if I had a performance, a spot is, it's like the street lingo, hey, I got a spot tonight at the comic strip or Governors on Long Island, two of my favorite clubs. Right. I would suit up and show up for that, because the minute I would say something funny that hit again, and even start to express my vulnerability, having an audience member come up to you and say, oh my God, thank you so much for talking about that, because it made me feel not alone, because humor diffuses any kind of situation. I mean, I don't know if anybody's been bullied, and the fact that you can turn something around and either hit them with a compliment, because I was in an award-winning documentary called You're Gorgeous, I Love Your Blouse, or I Love Your Shirt, because, tough girls, it's all about their egos and they're tough because, you know what, they've obviously been bullied, because, the rate of recidivism is exponential. But I gave this young girl advice because she was beautiful, and she also had some learning disabilities, anxiety, ADHD, and I was very close with her mother. We were both speakers, and I said to her, you know what? When these tough girls get in your face and just say, oh my God, you're gorgeous, I love your blouse, all of a sudden they're like, oh. And if they're cool girls, they'll say, I got this at Bloomingdale's. It was 40% off, and I know they have more. It completely will flip the situation. And all of a sudden, the tough girls, because they're egomaniacs, just might be like, you know what, she's not so bad. Maybe we should, incorporate her into our posse. And that's how the title of that documentary, which is making the festival rounds now, when festivals resume. But those are just some tactics that have been really, really helpful to me. And even, I guess when things were bad, and I'm a big proponent of therapy, because it's so instrumental to be able to laugh at your pain in order to then move on. The only way through a difficult situation, or the only way out of a difficult situation, is through it. And you got to get in the weeds, and humor just helps diffuse situations, your impression. And it's no longer the giant is, I'm sorry, I attribute depression as the worst kind of bully, because the minute you can laugh at that, it slowly dissipates. In my humble experience.
one of the great things I love about these webinars is that we have live chat on the side, and someone says that humor and professionalism are exclusive of one another.
Yes.
And you never see a Rolex ad that's funny. And I get that, but I have to be me and be genuine while still keeping professional standards. I think that's brand. That's actually a difference. Like Rolex's brand is not to be funny, but if you think about Capital One, do you remember when they had the big ads with the what was it, with the Vikings and everything? They were funny. Or Aflac. I mean, Aflac, again, that's part of their brand, is to be funny. You know, the other thing I was just thinking about when you were talking is when, oh my gosh, he won the Academy Award this year for the Hollywood movie.
Joaquin?
Brad Pitt. Which one did he win? Was it the Golden Globe maybe? But when he won.
Oscar co-star. Supporting actor. Yes, those ads. Oh.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Do you remember he got up there and he made that joke like, well, I had to be an alcoholic and a this or a that, and like something about it not being a stretch. He like made a joke on it or something.
No, he was making a dig at all the media attention regarding his divorce.
Right.
And everybody got it. And of course it pissed off Angelina, because does she have a sense of humor? I think not.
But that, being able to have that one-liner like that, where he was vulnerable, he took a dig at himself as well as the media, he won, and that was the soundbite they showed over and over.
Sure.
And they're either going to show the soundbite where you did something crazy, or the soundbite that was just really sharp and on point, and he did it so like a throwaway. But I thought to myself, he practiced that. He knew exactly how he was going to deliver that.
Possibly. No, I think what I love about Brad Pitt is he can take the piss, as the Aussies say, take the piss out of yourselves or extract the Mickey. He was self-deprecating, and that's one of the earmarks of being a good comedian. But you also have to really toe the line, because when you see a comedian really just denigrating themselves for the sake of a laugh, that I believe, and again, in my humble opinion, that you've crossed the line. It's one thing to make fun of yourself in a situation like Brad Pitt did, but if he then started really just, maybe going a little bit too far, making light of his addictions or the alleged altercation with, I was going to say Sun Yi, that's horrible, his son, Pak, or whatever, one of the kids. Yeah. I think it goes too far. As a woman, you make fun of yourself. You can make fun of your looks. I was chubbier. I always said I was too thin to be the best friend, and not thin enough to be the best friend, but not heavy enough to be like the comic foil. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. One of the comments again is that tougher for women to be self-deprecating because it can come off the wrong way. Again, I think it depends.
In what context, though? In a business context or in a stand-up context?
Well, personality plays such a big part of it. I think that it also depends on your audience. I don't know. Like for me, I think there are times I can be funny, but it has to be the right team. And there are some clients we just will laugh a whole meeting with, and then others we know not to make those jokes.
Well, I just noticed something about NAMI. Thank you for that, Diane. I really appreciate that. I go in, I hope that's not my Outlook. It's supposed to be turned off. But I go in and I talk to graduate students. I talk to doctors. I talk to inpatient, patients that are in hospitals. Some of them are really heavily medicated. The Veterans Administration, it's like, how do you then, talking to families, how do you deal and support people with mental illness? And I just stress the humor. And I noticed that she said my son is on the spectrum with Asperger's. My nephew is also on the spectrum, but he has an incredible, incredible sense of humor. And I think, because they say sense of humor is also a sign of intelligence. Thank you very much. But developing humor for perhaps people on the spectrum, as well as people dealing with any kind of mental health challenges, it's such a connector and in a way to heal so many ailments. I mean, Norman Cousins, when he was diagnosed with I don't know if he's still alive, but he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He stressed the importance of taking movies, plunking them in, and laughing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we need to do now, considering, we're quarantined with family members.
Right. So
and
now,
because you have a house, I'm in New York City, the epicenter.
Yes. And I feel like you're all more contained too, where
you think?
I'm in the suburbs, at least go out and run in my woods. But I know I feel for you on that one. So we need, with 10 minutes left, we need to get to the how this flies. The poll is, do you think you're funny? 62% of you say that you think you're funny. 14% say no. And 23% said, I think I'm funny, but often others don't. Closing out that poll, how do we get funnier? Like, Marla, what if people don't know how to inject that one-liner or that sort of tease?
I think it's really important. Yes, I'm funny. The poll keeps popping up. First of all, being funny and trusting yourself, it's a real lesson in believing that you can convey a message. What I stress, and I teach workshops for people that are professionals and they don't think they're funny, I take them through a series of exercises where I put them on the spot, where I give them prompts and they have to come up with something. And it is so empowering to see the self, just to see them all of a sudden, they're like, oh my God, like an awareness. I really am funny, because the minute the room laughs, and again, everybody laughs at the same, or they don't have to laugh at the same line. You can just see a light bulb go off in their heads, and specifically with keynotes.
Right.
The worst is when they just use non-descriptive words. I am a big proponent of metaphors and descriptive language. Like, if you are trying to take somebody back in time, you want to paint the picture. I had a client that was talking about when he first started his business back in the 80s. And I said, why don't you just throw in some what car, what was the hit movie? I think it was Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future. You really want to take the audience back, so they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Right. And also trusting yourself. Like, if you have an idea, or, say if a joke doesn't land, you can always say something like, yeah, thanks folks, appearing all night, or yeah, that's why they pay me the big bucks, because that's when you can inject some sort of, a self-deprecating comment, and it goes both ways, male, female.
You did that earlier when you talked about your superlative of most likely to be a comedian, and you used that. You referenced to something back, and I'll bet you that everybody watching did the same thing. Went back to thinking about their superlatives. I know that this is a shocker, but I won most talkative in high school.
You?
Yeah, exactly.
No. But what's so funny is, what's so good about your personality is you use humor. The minute I was on the phone with you, I was like, oh my God, I feel like she's one of my girlfriends, somebody I grew up with. Right. Because you're approachable and you're open, and you talked about your vulnerabilities, and you're also funny. And that connected me to you. And I think in the corporate world, so many people, they feel like they have to be automatons. And let's not even get me started on the millennials.
We don't have to
go there.
We don't have time.
Oh, bummer, because you know what? I just hope millennials just have to lighten up and not be so sensitive. What are they? Not princesses, snowflakes. It's like, be a snowflake, be a funny snowflake.
Right. Sometimes people are just kidding. Sometimes people are just joking.
Yes.
You don't have to take everything seriously, and you don't have to take everything personally. Not everything is a personal,
No.
Yeah. So, but I don't think that's just millennials. I think that everybody can be there at times.
Hypersensitive, and it's really difficult.
But now the flip side is, people can take that too far. Somebody commented that they have to know when to dial back the sarcasm or the jokes, and it can go too far sometimes. And so,
sure.
Being able to read that audience, that tip to throw in some sort of anecdote or former story that makes you approachable. Any other really good tips like that. And knowing that, with that poll where we said, have you ever told a joke that's fallen flat? Everybody tells a joke at one point or another and it falls flat. It just does. I was keynoting a conference at Boston University. I went to Boston College. I made an offhand joke about something about the rivalry. If I'd been at BC, where I speak a lot, they would have laughed. And it just like, they looked at me like, what are you talking about? Like it was, I just had to roll. I just had to.
But in that instance, it was like, okay, I guess it's just me that thinks it's funny. Moving right along.
Right.
But I just want to go back to one point about everybody being a little too sensitive, because look how fractious the world is. How many friendships have broken up because all of a sudden, they might be a Trump supporter and you're a Democrat or a libertarian, and the civil discourse has gone by the wayside, and you have to respect other people's opinions. It's not your job to convince them to believe, share your beliefs. You have to be respectful and, make a joke. And if somebody doesn't get it, just be like, like I said, I guess I'm the only one that finds it funny. Okay. Listen, let me have my agent get in touch with you and we can let's rebook this and do a do-over or something.
Right.
But that's when self-deprecation really plays in, because you're tipping your hat. It's not like you're apologizing, but you're just acknowledging. And I think that's a really important point to convey in personal, professional, and, just apologize. Don't get, so hell-bent and committed to your beliefs.
Another question, again, being a tough time for some people to laugh, is there a risk of being hurtful or insensitive when trying to be funny? And again, I think that it's being careful of your audience, right?
Don't talk about politics. I always stick to relationships. I stick to, situations. I make myself like this curmudgeonly, it's the world according to Marla. And it's like, what do you mean you don't see my point? But I know it sounds like it contradicts what I just said, but it's really, but I can make the joke of myself and be like, okay, all righty. Whereas I just saw my web series just popped up. My partner, Jen Lederer, she's a motivational comedian, and I'm the middle-aged one. And what is interesting is she's teaching me that, guess what? You can't say that. Cancel culture. I've never heard of cancel culture. And I come from, the movies where you made fun of different nationalities, religions. I remember this great comedian was making the difference between Protestant and Catholics. Because everybody is so sensitive. It's you comedians, you have to walk a tightrope because, again, going back, piggybacking on something you said a little earlier about in the workforce, everybody is so sensitive and they're so ready to report and, make a score, create a scourge against somebody's record. And it's nuts. It's just lighten up. Differences are funny, and you can make fun of those differences as long as you're respectful,
I have almost every day referenced my parents watching, which I love. My brother tries to be on too. Your mom just posted, so proud that you are my daughter. I on today and that she posted that. That's so great. Susan, thank you for joining today.
The fact that she even jumped on and wasn't afraid of technology. I love you. My mom is my hero, by the way. She is a pancreatic cancer survivor. It's going on 3 years, and her dignity and grace in dealing with a really one of the toughest cancers. She's loved. She's just, if you met her, you would love her. She is, I think, one of the original archangels. I love you, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. That's so awesome. Oh, and your sister's on too. Your sister wants you to know that she's on too.
I love you too, Lauren.
We have a question. What about advice for someone that is not funny and so wants to be? Oh, that's my Bob. Bob, you're funny.
Bob, call me. You know what? Let me tell you that again. I think that's a belief that for some reason somebody was given that message erroneously. I think you gotta, move out of your comfort zone. Take an improv class. Watch the comedians. Judy Carter is an amazing source of teaching she wrote the Comedy Bible, and she is a goddess. You should look her up, but just stretch your wings. And I can assure you, everybody is funny. It's just it's an impulse, and trusting that impulse. And if you laugh, you're funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Or people will know you're trying. And again, it can lighten up a situation.
Yeah.
We are 12:40. Any last questions real quick? Anything, Marla, you want to throw out there?
Yes, everybody go to YouTube. Please check out, subscribe, pass along my web series. It's called Jen and Marla's Ageless Adventures. It's the millennial meets middle age, bridging the gap, because I think it's really important for millennial women and younger women to learn and appreciate the women that have gone before them, and for middle-aged women to understand and make a connection, because age should not be a barrier to friendships.
No, agree. This has been
Like
great.
and subscribe.
I know that this has been great for me today. I needed even a good laugh and to lighten up, and I feel completely like jazzed for the rest of my day. So Marla, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been great.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say, please, everybody, reach out. I'm Marla at marlaschultz.com. You can hit my website. I'd love to hear from you.
And we have all of these going up on YouTube now, so you can catch any of them that you've missed. Please share them with your friends. And tomorrow, I'm so excited for tomorrow. I love Entertainment Friday. We have Elizabeth Lyons, and I was on the phone with her the other day. I already love her. She moved to Nashville at 18 to intern at a music publishing company. A lesson I gave to my sons right after, the importance of getting their internships early on.
Bravo.
Yeah, and now, my God, she's been opened for everyone from Blake Shelton, Luke Bryan, Sam Hunt, and more. She's been part of the CMAs. She is got a big charity event coming up, the Highway on the no, it's not the Highway on the Horizon, but she has a big charity event coming up to support country music, and she'll be playing for us tomorrow. Anyway, we're super excited about that. So I hope everybody can join tomorrow, and I hope everybody has a great day and can find a way to laugh through the rest of it.
Watch comedies. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, bye, guys.